I mean, wow, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, once again, we are back in the Thunderdome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. You know they're going to do that. But we're going to keep rocking and rolling. So what I was doing, ladies and gentlemen, was we were having a conversation about a couple of things, all right? The first thing that I covered before we got sent down to, where they shut us down, because folks like Dana, they just sit back and they keep crying because we get out here and we tell the truth. The first thing that I covered was obviously Trump saying that he wants to give the J6ers reparations, and we're not going to allow that, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to allow it. Welcome back to the show. All right, but you know what? Time is seriously of the essence. What I wanted to finish is the Signalgate, all right, ladies and gentlemen. So with Signalgate, the president is sitting here making excuses for Pete Hegseth leaking these classified information.
A lot of stuff going on with Iran. And we sent a letter to Iran. You're going to have to be speaking to us one way or the other pretty soon because we can't let this happen. But that's an app that a lot of people use. And somebody got on. I happen to know the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this, that they've made up more stories, and they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly.
Don't worry, we're going to get the backup
and
going.
He will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way. It's going to go on.
Thank you.
And I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen.
Oh.
But that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Do you think national security was put at risk, Mr. President?
Of senior officials using
Who?
Of Signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it.
Okay.
And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot.
Oh.
It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully. But sometimes somebody can get onto those things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the Situation Room.
Okay, so this is Donald Trump yesterday, and this is before we got to where we're at today. All right, so he's never heard about Signal. All right, according to him, and guess what? No war plans were leaked. All right, and then we had the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to Mike Walls himself, the guy that added the reporter to the group text, ladies and gentlemen. We actually got to hear from him in terms of what happened, because you know what they do? They go on to Fox News and they treat Fox News, honestly, like it's a courtroom, and they just get on the jury stand and they testify. So let's see if we buy what Mike Walls is saying, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy.
Oh.
I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the
execute.
number? I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked
so. What Mike Walls, ladies and gentlemen, is suggesting happened was this text group. All right, W Kabira in the chat for the subscription. What he's suggesting is this. Oh, somebody gave me their phone number or their contact information. This is what he says, right? And I used that, and I thought I was talking to that person, but then I found out they gave me a bogus number, and I said, oh, so this is a person who obviously He's never dealt with somebody, you go to the nightclub and you try to get their phone number, right? You ever done that? And then you try to get their phone number, and then guess what? It's not the right number. So he doesn't have any way of vetting the information he's given. He literally believes everything people tell him. And guess who loves this? Putin. Putin loves this. This is easy lunch for Russia and China and North Korea, ladies and gentlemen. But watch him continue to dig himself in a ditch.
Someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So he said whether he did it deliberately or it was some sort of technical issue. So it's a guy. It's a guy, right? We know the number that he thought he was going to dial is a man. All right. So the question is, which guy was he adding to this signal thread? And the thing is, he's still not paying attention. That being on Signal is a bad thing. So talking about it in this way isn't really helping his case.
So your staffer did not put his contact information.
No,
but how did it end up at your
that's
phone?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That's where we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone?
Oh.
I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact and then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in,
you that
it gets
contact.
sucked
Got
in.
it.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was
So
on
the
the chat?
person that I thought was on there was never on there.
Oh.
It was
Who was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So but look, that's the part that we have to figure out.
Okay. Right? So you can tell right now that this so-called DEI hire, this so-called merit-based hire, is clearly one of the worst decisions of the current Trump administration. How many people out there think Mike Walls did a great job taking accountability for what he did? Anyone out there think he's actually taking accountability for what he did? Yes or no? Maybe so. All right, because what I'm seeing right here is a failure, a national security embarrassment. Look at that. All right, listen, W to the chat. Let me ask you this: Is this worse than Hunter Biden? I'm talking about the laptop. Is this worse than Hunter Biden's laptop? Honestly, I got to ask you all this. All right. Is this worse than Hunter Biden's laptop, ladies and gentlemen? All right. What I'll do. Okay, let me do this. All right. Is this worse than Hunter Biden's laptop? I'll bring Zeus back up, the other account. All right, in just a second. But I just had to let everybody know I'm over here on the backup. Is this worse than Hunter Biden? Wow. No. Okay. Oh, someone wrote Hillary emails. Yes, indeed. Okay. Oh wow, 100 times. Tara, you're serious? Is this worse than anything Kamala Harris has said or done? The CBS interview. Is this worse than the CBS interview? That it's treason. Yeah. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. See, Kamala's DEI. Wow, I don't know. Yes, this potentially could have cost lives, worse than ever. Wow. Whiskey leaks. I seen that. Yeah, someone wrote whiskey leaks. Absolutely worse. So this is worse than Hunter Biden's laptop. This is worse than anything Kamala Harris has said, right? The CBS interview. Wow. Incompetent administration. Wow. If Biden did this, they would call for his impeachment. Wow. Is this worse than Hillary Clinton's emails? Honestly. Let me make sure, because I don't want to start doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. Is this worse than Hillary Clinton's emails? Absolutely. Wow. In a class all by itself. Have them arrested. Absolutely. I have not seen one person say it's not worse than those things. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and set Mike Walls aside. He's definitely got to go straight to hell. He really does. But it gets worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to also now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fast forward to Pete Hegseth yesterday. The news is circulating all over the world right now. And one thing you have to understand about Trump, He lives and breathes mass media, mainstream media. This is his thing. That's how he determines whether or not he's actually, doing a good job. He doesn't care about what the government says. He cares about how he looks on TV. And one thing everybody knows that worships Donald Trump and smells that diaper, when you took the oath, MAGA, when you take the oath and you say, Donald Trump, I promise to be as loyal as I can be to you. My life is your life. Without you, there's no me, right? One of the things he also makes you agree to is, under no condition will you get more attention than me on the media. Absolutely not. That's what he says to his supporters, because the moment you do, you know what that means? It's going to get real ugly for you. And so where we're at right now is Pete Hegseth and all of those other people on that Signal conversation, they're getting way more attention than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is angry about this because he went and did an interview with Newsweek the other day or yesterday, right? That didn't work. He signed executive orders trying to distract America. That did not work. What America wants to know is, are we safe or are we not? And so now Pete Hegseth is in this world where he thinks, oh my gosh, I may have broken the oath and I need to get this thing under control. And, he might be, taking a couple of swigs to deal with the pain, to numb the pain, because, he has that issue. So he lands in Hawaii and he tries to, once again, throw Americans off of his trail, all right, off his scent. Let me bring this into the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, all right? A reporter, once again, yeah, we hear what you're doing. We hear all of that, but tell us again about Signal, all right? And so listen to what he says about Signal. And this is late last night, when he landed in Hawaii. We'll get this on the record, and I want you all to listen and tell me if this helps his case or if it makes it worse, all right?
Mr. Secretary, the messages the White House called authentic did at the very least include sensitive details about targets and timing. Did you declassify that information before you put it in the chat? And are you using Signal to discuss operations as sensitive as the strikes against the Houthis on a government or a personal phone?
First, all I would say is the strikes against the Houthis that night were devastatingly effective. And I'm incredibly proud of the courage and skill of the troops. And they are ongoing and continue to be devastatingly effective. The last place I would want to be right now is a Houthi in Yemen who wants to disrupt freedom of navigation. So the skill and courage of our troops is on full display. It's a complete opposite approach from the fecklessness of the Biden administration.
Oh.
President Trump said peace through strength will be brought back. Freedom of navigation will return.
You hear him stumble?
And that's exactly what we're doing.
When you got that addiction. When you got an addiction, sometimes you struggle to say certain words. Let's see if we can catch that again.
Peace through strength will be brought back.
Ooh.
Freedom of navigation will return, and that's exactly what we're doing. As I also stated yesterday, nobody's texting war plans. And that's all I have to say about it.
So those same troops that you are proud of, do you regret putting information like the ones you did in the Signal chat that could endanger those same American service members?
Nobody's texting war plans. I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what we're directing, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished. Successful missions that night and going forward.
Did that help his cause, ladies and gentlemen? Can anyone tell me, did that help Pete Hegseth and his cause? He's a struggler. No. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think it helped his cause because it was brought to our attention this morning that, the Atlantic, they said no war plans were released, and that's been the drum that's been beating since this all broke. No war plans have been released. No war plans have been released. You wake up this morning, and right before these Senate hearings, all right, and right before this show, the White House once again found themselves on the defensive side of this issue because guess what? War plans were released by the Atlantic, all right? And there's a couple of things in this screenshot. I mean, you can go on the internet and find them, all right? One thing that I wanted to call out was a message Pete Hegseth said. He said this to the vice president at the time. Blah, 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 blah. Then he goes on to say, waiting a few weeks or months does not fundamentally change the calculus. Now, when he said calculus, I said, Pete, stop it, Pete. You know you didn't pass calculus class. You don't know the area under a curve. You don't know how to do integrals. You don't know how to do derivatives. Zip it. All right? He goes on to say, two immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks and we look indecisive. Two, Israel takes an action first, or, Gaza ceasefire falls apart and we don't get this start on our own terms. We can manage both. So one thing we get from this is this part where he said, if it leaks, we look indecisive. Congratulations, Pete. You look indecisive because it leaked. Thank you, Pete. So this is Pete Hegseth literally owning himself, all right, in 4K, or as these young folks like to say, in 8K. He's owning himself. All right, W. Kabira. All right. The next thing that I wanted to bring up are the actual plans. Let's see if we can get this up here, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to make sure that when I share stuff like this, I don't want people to think I'm making it up. So number one, you can see all the people, right? You can see all the people that were on this group text, right? You can see all the suspects right there, all right? I mean, you can't, ladies and gentlemen, you really can't make this stuff up. It's really the gift that keeps on giving, all right? I mean, I wanted to get here. Let me get out of the way right quick. Now, these are the actual, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, are these war plans? Someone break this down to me. Is this man literally explaining when, where, how things are going to be done? Oh my goodness. You can't make this stuff up. F-18s launch, first strike package, trigger base F-18 first strike, window starts, targets, more F-18 strikes, drones, targets. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And there's more text messages, ladies and gentlemen, all right? And you can just go through these, and you just look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Don't he look like, doesn't it look like he just, poured himself something nice and strong to take the edge off right before he got in front of the cameras? Pete Hicks said, knock it off. Again, I don't want to go around here and accusing people of doing stuff that they haven't done. But definitely, you know what? If we were to use the test Donald Trump created, right?
Open borders with people pouring
Right here it
in.
goes.
Some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble, could be trouble.
Do we all think Pete Hegseth could be trouble out there? Because you could just look at him. Do you need another look? Does he look like he could be trouble? I'm going to ask you all again. Does Pete Hegseth look like he could be trouble? Okay, thank you. I got a couple of yeses. All right. Well, so Mike Walls did a terrible job going on Fox News. Laura Ingraham grilled him. Hey, what's the reason this person was... Why are you texting this reporter? Mike Walls, his excuse was, I created the chat. I thought I was texting somebody else because that person gave me this information when they gave me their contact. Oops, I made a mistake. I didn't know that I should have verified that number that they gave me was actually their number before I went and did all of this stuff on Signal. That's Mike Wall's excuse. We caught Tulsi Gabbard yesterday saying that no secret information was being shared, but then she turned around and said, you know what? If it was shared by guess who? Pete Hegseth. And then we have Pete Hegseth repeatedly denying war plans were being shared, only to get to where we're at today, ladies and gentlemen, where it's obviously crystal clear, if you're sober, that war plans were being shared. So I don't want to hear anything else about DEI. What I want to hear about is who should be going to hell. And we already know it's Mike Walls. It's definitely Pete. And anyone else that repeats this lie that no war plans were shared, from the bottom all the way up to this guy in my background, the sitting president. Either Donald Trump really thinks there were no war plans shared, right? He really thinks this or he lied. Now, if he really thinks this, this means he has a lot of trust in what we all see is the most incompetent people ever, which means he's really unfit to be president of the United States as well, because how are you going to trust these people who are running around with all this information on their devices and they're going to Russia? And you know what they're doing with this information when they get into Russia? They're literally giving it to Vladimir Putin. They're saying here, and they're serving it to him on a silver platter. And guess who? Guess what? Guess who they're endangering? They're endangering the lives of millions and millions of Americans and others around the world, our allies, because of their incompetence. Ladies and gentlemen, let's warm up the lake of fire real quickly, and let's all do this together. And let's send each and every one of these seditionists, treasonous traitors where they belong, straight to
Silence, you MAGA David.
Obviously, there's some Trump supporters in my chat that are getting a little triggered, all right? But maybe you didn't hear me at the top of the show before they took me down on my other account.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
W, Tara. Now, before we... W, Lady Boss Monet. You know they get mad when y'all do that. You know they do. But honestly, thank you. Because they're not going to stop us from getting this truth out there to the millions of people who honestly want it. I honestly think what we're doing on shows like this is we're contributing to what it takes to actually wake folks up in this country and get them on the right side of history, all right? And I know this is a lot of very, very, very tough work, because you got to have a measure of patience. You got to be able to actually, walk these demons right to the cliff before you toss them in, like I do. You got to be able to do it, and it has to look like they're honestly doing it on their own, all right? Now that we all understand what happened with the Signal Gate, it just provides a lot more it provides a lot more context to the actual situation that occurred in Yemen. So what I wanted to do was, let's go back a week ago to what the media was saying about that strike, all right?
More than 30 were killed and over 100 injured after US President Donald Trump ordered, quote, decisive military action against Houthi rebels in Yemen. In the aftermath, part of it shown here, Yemen's Houthi-run health ministry said many of those injured and killed were women and children.
Wow.
The Iran-backed military group has regularly targeted shipping lanes in the Red Sea since 2023 as revenge against Israel for its war with Hamas. The strikes have significantly hampered global trade. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the US would use, quote, overwhelming lethal force until its objective was achieved. The Houthis, meanwhile, said they would meet any escalation with escalation, according to Reuters. At dawn, residents seen here began moving rubble from one of the strikes. A US defense official told CNN further actions by the US will depend on an assessment of this and other sites from the airstrikes, but that further action against the Houthis is expected over the next several weeks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the actual report out in the media. And one thing you got to understand now is we can't say that this was a successful strike any longer, because even though that's what they're saying, it's almost like them saying, oh, no war plans were shared. We know this was not a successful strike because look at that. They were harming women and children. They didn't get the suspects that they really could have got. You know why they didn't get it? It's because they leaked all of the war plans before it actually started. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's send these Trump supporters who continue to promote lies into the American people. It wasn't a successful strike. And on top of that, it was war plans leaked. And I don't give a darn what you say. Right? Get him out of here.
Silence,
let's go to the box, ladies and gentlemen. All right, because they're trying to silence the truth on this app, and I don't know why you Trump supporters are getting all so worried. All right, you don't got to worry about Zeus. You got to worry about these special elections that are happening all over the country. And by the way, I hear Democrats are flipping seats. That's what I said. The Democrats aren't static. We're dynamic. All right. Y'all need a leader. We don't. We know good when we see it, and we know bad when we see it. Case closed. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter, and I will bring you right on up here. All right, but you got to be willing to actually be honest with the American people. All right, put a 1 in the chat. All right, is there anyone out there, honestly, you still support Donald Trump? I would love to know why. I honestly would love to know why anyone right now, seeing what's going on in this country, would still be supporting the worst president ever. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, and you could sit up here and you could try to sit back and say, the Democrats did this and they did that. I was watching, I watch CNN because there's a character on there. His name's Scott Jennings. And you know why I watch CNN? Because I want to know how low Scott will go to defend Donald Trump, right? Because when Trump won the election, you could see it in MAGA's eyes. When Trump won, we are about to save this country. We're going to bring down those gas prices. we're gonna get those grocery prices. They were so cheerful, and it was very easy to defend Donald Trump at that time. But one can also see that since Donald Trump has got in, he hasn't done a single thing to help those who got him in office. Not one. He can't, and his supporters know this. So I'd like to know, because I'm telling you all, we are getting closer and closer each and every single day when we will get to be able to witness the will of MAGA snap. You ever seen a twig snap? And then all the little pieces start to fall. We are about to see the will of MAGA snap. Because, trust me, too much pressure makes the pipes burst. And it's the perfect recipe to snap the will of MAGA. What are you going to do? Well, we're gonna cut off their Social Security, and to the Democrats and anyone innocently impacted by this, trust me, it really does pain me to say this. It really does, because this is stuff we all know would never have happened if Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, would have been the president. None of this stuff would have ever happened. So what we're going to do, and this is what Donald Trump is doing to his supporters, we're going to cut off their Social Security so they can't defend themselves financially. What we're going to do is we're going to tank the stock market and get rid of their 401ks so that they can't defend themselves financially. What we'll also do is start cutting off funding to all these federal programs, especially the ones that help women and children, get food in their bodies and get healthy, so they can't defend themselves, right? We're going to cut off funding for research, right? Because, we know a lot of folks out there are sick and unhealthy, and they eat a lot of Cheez-Its and drink Diet Coke for a living while consuming Fox, and we know what the outcomes are going to be. We're going to cut all of that off to help them. And so basically, we're going to have a bunch of sick, broke, I'm going to call them something nice on TikTok, but mindless people that are basically going to destroy themselves. And guess who's the one facilitating this destruction? It's their dear leader, Donald J. Trump. And so this is what it will take, ladies and gentlemen, to actually rid this good country of ours of MAGA. Donald Trump is going to basically, if you are familiar with how cults work, right? He's pretty much going to make them drink the Kool-Aid. And the will of MAGA has began to actually, it's beginning in that process of it snapping. Trust me, the stick, it's bending. It's really bent. All right. They can't blame Joe Biden. No, you can't blame Joe Biden. I saw Joe Biden the other day hop out the SUV, going into a little show, doing his thing. You can't blame Hunter Biden. You can't blame Hillary Clinton. You can't blame Barack Obama. You can't blame the Democrats, because guess what? Y'all got the government. It's yours. Have a blast. And they're all sitting there going, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You go to these lives on TikTok. I don't know why they're on Donald Trump so much. It's like he's just gotten into office. Get a man some time. He's still cleaning up Joe Biden's mess. But what they're secretly saying is, Trump, please give us something, man. It's getting hard out here. It is getting. Oh, Trump, please give us something. And guess what they give you? Oh, they give you Pete Hegseth leaking war plans. Oh. What do they give you? Oh, he's pardoning the J6ers. And guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna give them some reparations. While they sitting at home suffering, and their wives is leaving them. So yeah, please put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. Please come on up here and tell us how Donald Trump is taking good. Please tell us how he's taking care of you, because right now the reports came out. I don't know if you hear, Val, but didn't they say something about consumer confidence is at a record low? It's at its lowest point. It's been in since the last, what was it, 12 or 16 years? And did you see what's going on with Tesla? I heard actually now Chinese automakers are actually outperforming Tesla when it comes to the EVs. Woo, you can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Let me go ahead and bring. Oh, there he is, Val. Please come on up here, Val. Why not start the show off on a high note? Hey, Val, how are you doing, my good friend? I'm laughing because these Trump supporters, they have really nothing. Nothing.
No, they never have anything. I mean, it's. I mean, look, with what you've talked about most of the morning, right? Talking about the signal.
Yes.
I don't even know how you try to defend this, to be honest with you, more than anything else. So you go with that, and then you add what you just asked me, right? Is consumer confidence low? Yes, consumer confidence has been dropping since Trump has been in office, and it's going to continue to drop as long as the stock market is, not stable. As long as, those are things that, you say you can't use the stock market for the economy, and that's actually a fairly true statement. But the problem is that you can use it for consumer confidence because when you talk about consumer confidence, that's people comfortable going out and buying things, large purchases or, medium purchases, to say that they feel okay that they're going to make the money to move forward in their life and be able to pay for these things.
Right.
and that's obviously not the case right now. So not only is the stock market unstable, people are feeling unstable. So these are simple math equations. I don't know why. I don't know why MAGA has so much trouble with numbers, or just common sense for that matter.
Right.
I mean, people, come on. Anybody that sits out there and tries to defend the things that are going on right now, and then even worse than that, trying to defend the way they're covering this up or trying to explain it. That's even worse.
Are you suggesting, Val, that there's no way to defend Signalgate, in your opinion?
No, there's not. I mean, this is, we have an Espionage Act for a reason. Okay, if you, and I tell people this all the time, I don't care what your feeling is about the situation, the law is the law.
Yeah. Yep.
And for anybody in our government, especially in those positions, to know or to just actively go on a social media app and talk about defense issues of this country, there's huge problems.
Yeah.
And now we're learning that some of these people were in areas they shouldn't have been, right? I mean, do you pick up a Signal app in Russia and while you're sitting in Russia and talk about these things? These are the things that are even more of a problem.
Thank you. Now, are there any Trump supporters out there, and I see them in my chat, that are trying to justify the Trump administration is doing a good job? Because you can send me a guest request, and guess what, Bear? I see you, Bear. And if you don't come up when I ask you to come up, Bear, I'm gonna assume you're a Russian bot. All right, and we do not want misinformation floating around in the chat. So mods, please do with this knucklehead as you wish. All right, because guess what, Bear? The only way out is through sending me a guest request. Someone wrote no taxes on overtime starting Monday. Is that true?
I have not heard of any such a thing, and I know that something like that has not passed the House or the Senate. So I'm going to go with not true.
Okay, so that's not true. That's misinformation. So again, to the knucklehead that wrote that in the chat, you want to come on up here, and we'll give you an opportunity to defend yourself, honestly, because if you got some information we do not have, we will definitely stand corrected. All right.
I want to make something clear, or because y'all act like I think y'all think that we're against no tax on overtime or no tax on tips or no tax on Social Security. You'd actually be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is it's got to be real, right? It's got to be put in a bill. You make a promise, it's got to be in a bill. It's got to go through the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
If you want to make those things a reality. So until those things happen, we're going to continue to hold Trump's feet to the fire.
Thank you.
Because that was a promise he made. It was probably one of the promises that helped him win the most, right?
Yep.
And he still has not got it done.
Not at all.
He's not got it done. He hasn't proposed it in a budget bill that would allow it to pass.
Bingo.
I know why.
Why?
In most of America that has any kind of brain knows why. Because he can't pass that kind of legislation without putting more taxes on corporations and the rich. Because it's a balance, people. It's a budget. You have to balance it. If you take that money away that the government's getting to pay for services, the roads that you drive on, the things that we do every day.
Yeah.
Then you have to then it has to come from somewhere else. And that somewhere else, unfortunately, because of all the tax cuts they've received over decades now, would have to go back to them. And that would be breaking his promise to his wealthy donors. Now with that all said,
you know what?
Really backing
W Val in the chat. Hey Val, I want you to know you're triggering people in the comment section because they're going. Val is doing that thing he does again. He's overwhelming us with truth. He's crushing my brain with these numbers, and it's just not making me feel good. Do you feel bad that you're hurting these people's feelings, Val, the way that you are?
No. The truth should never hurt anyone's feelings.
That part. You hear that? You hear that? And so this is what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We get the truth out here, all right? Well, listen, Val, I might have to bring you up, all right, bro? Bring you up again. But
I'll be down here listening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give Val a huge round of applause. No. Lies detected. W's in the chat for Val. Why? To the Trump supporters that are sitting in this chat, I was talking to a good friend of mine, and I said the best way to describe the Trump supporters that come onto this show, ladies and gentlemen, and you see them, whether it's Tiny Tank Top, Tim Tom, Snuggie, Trash Bait. These are the people that, if you dealt with wild animals, right? And no offense to wild animals, it takes them a long time to start learning how to build trust with you because they've been just this. So what we do is we set out a bowl of food. I call it kibble for these people. And we set it out every morning at the same time. When I do this show, we set some kibble out there. And we all, we're in the kitchen. We're eating really good food. But they're so hungry that they're like, you know what? I know I'll never be able to eat that good food, but that kibble, now that I can do. And so you leave the kibble out there, and then it gets dark, and then they go and eat the kibble. You can see it on your security footage, right? And then next thing you know, you wake up in the morning, and the kibble's gone. You ever seen something like that, ladies and gentlemen? This is what it's like with these Trump supporters. They're stealing the kibble at night, but they don't understand. We're actually leaving it for them. Eventually, you start to they start to continue to build a little more trust in you. You know, they're going to go out there, they're going to go and they get that. Then it's going to be daytime. The kibble's out there because they don't want to wait the full 24 hours or the 12 hours. So then they start seeing the kibble being poured, and they got to look around and see all the other wild animals watching the same kibble being poured, and they're going, which one's going to get to it first now? All right. So then it's no longer about we don't trust you. Now it's about who's going to get the kibble first. And so what you see happening right now is they come in the chat and oh, who's going to go get it? Who's going to get it? And they rush up there and they go in there and grab that kibble. W Zeus. And so this is why it's very important that we do these shows. They could go, listen, you Trump supporters, go ahead and eat that kibble up, all right? It'll help you out, all right? But you got to stop running around here acting like you can't trust the Democrats when we've been giving you all this knowledge and this information. If we wanted to, you know what I'm going to do? And attacking, I'll bring you right up because I love that you got more kibble for them. It's sort of like, you know, when I was growing up, and, you know, sometimes I share these kind of stories with you. You know, I was growing up, my mom, you know, sometimes you say things because you don't understand what you're saying when you say it. But, you know, you look back and you go, oh, I get the message. She used to say things along the lines of like, you know what, if I really wanted to do something to you, I'd put it in your food. Right. And you know exactly what I mean. And you had to start thinking to yourself like, well, she does have a point. So to the Trump supporters, honestly, if the Democrats really wanted to do something to you, we'd put it in your food. W for the Democrats. What you're dealing with, MAGA, and I gotta also address this because this is the lie that's going on. This is why the Democrats lost. No. When you see people out here standing up for what they believe in, all right, DJ, this is for you. I knew we beat you up at the beginning of the week, but I'm glad you came back to get this kibble. When you see people out here standing up for what they believe in, that should not be something you go, oh, see, that's why the Democrats lost. No, that's your opportunity to either engage, and if they are wrong, help them understand, or it's your opportunity to turn around and go, maybe they have a perspective that I didn't consider, and then you start doing the work on yourself, because outside of that, things get real nasty real fast. And so I want to encourage people to continue to stand up for what they truly, truly believe in, but also be open-minded as well and understand you might not have all the angles, but you might have enough to at least help you stay true to your morals. All right. So W Zeus in the chat. None of us are perfect, right? You know, and this is why, you know, they go, well, listen, this person, you know, they call it cancel culture. It's really about accountability at the end of the day. We're not saying you got to be perfect, but come on now, listen, if things are not on the up and up, then yeah, we need to call that out. All right, let me bring up the next panelist, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes I get on my soapbox, ladies and gentlemen, but you know it's very important I do that for the sake of being transparent, but not transparent like the Trump administration, right? I never leak war plans. Good morning, Attacking. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah. You know what I hate, Zeus?
Preach. Go ahead.
Documents and evidence to an act that took place and have the Republican Party deny it. I hate the fact that the people that Trump placed in our national security to keep America safe are inept, inadequate, and unqualified to do that for the American people. I'm upset that Republicans are willing to lie and put people's lives in danger because they know that the President of the United States will protect them at all costs. I'm upset that ignorant people on this app are willing to side with issues like this that literally could have cost people's lives, and they're not willing to own up to it and say, you know what, I might be a Republican and a Trump supporter, but yeah, that's bad.
DJ, are you there, DJ? I would honestly like to get your insight on this, DJ.
You know, the thing is as we all know, and we hear, you hear, I hear, we all hear, that there are certain activities taking place to do additional harm to senior citizens, disabled people, veterans, and so on and so forth. And little step by step, people are being fired and released. And little chip here, little chip there, like with Social Security. 47 offices are being closed. Social Security employees are being fired. Now they're going to try to make it harder to apply for Social Security, to do a follow-up for Social Security, to contact Social Security via the phone, so on and so forth. As they are attacking Social Security, and Trump lovers and supporters say they're not doing it, as they ignore the things that are happening right now taking place, and people are commenting upon, well, if my mother-in-law didn't get her Social Security check, she wouldn't complain this month. She'd just say, oh, well, they messed up, I'll get it next. Yeah. Well, yeah, your mother-in-law's a gosh darn billionaire.
Yeah.
But tell that to the lady who lives on $1,100 a month, paying her rent, buying her food to make her survive until next month.
Tell that to your landlord.
Tell that to your landlord that's going to say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to evict you, old lady who doesn't have any income until, the United States pulls their head out of their own rear end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Elon Musk. And hold on, let me put this up here.
Attacking. You got a lot of kibble. Pictures. You got a lot of kibble this morning.
Why don't we show the proof to people, children 11 years old to 8 months old, receiving small business loans? Why don't we see the documentation? Why don't we see an arrest warrant? Why don't we see an arrest warrant? John Jones and Mrs. Jones submitted for their child, baby Jones, to acquire a $100,000 small business loan. Show us the fraud. Show us the name. Show us the people. Show us the activity.
Thank you, Terry.
Why won't you do that? And each and every one of you Trump supporters on this app that are listening in the background and then lie that you don't listen to us.
They're getting the kibble attacking. Remember that. You're putting kibble out there for them.
Yeah, they're not listening to Zeus as they put up Zeus's videos and me and him talking and him and Shay talking or anybody else, Nutty Professor or Takesha, that you say you don't do. Mm-hmm. So the thing is this. Why don't you want the information? Why don't you want to see an outline of a specific accusation of them saying, we found X, Y, and Z, here's the proof? Why don't you want to see it? Why is it you only believe what they say, you don't want to see anything of proof? You didn't do it in 2020. You don't like the facts of the 4 indictments on Trump. You don't like any gosh darn document because y'all say it's fraud and fake.
Can I ask you a question attacking about that?
Of course you can.
Did you hear about the pardon yesterday?
The pardon?
Yeah, Trump pardoned former business partner of Hunter Biden who testified about the Biden, Devin Archer. What do you think about that?
He pardoned Devin Archer?
Yesterday.
Why would he pardon Devin Archer?
That's what I'm asking you.
Devin Archer, I don't really care. Devin Archer came out and told the truth about him and Hunter Biden's activities.
Yeah.
And he came and said, no, there was no crime between Hunter Biden, his dad, and Burisma. And no, the Russian mayor's wife didn't send him $3.5 million. It's all right there in the testimony and the transcripts that I've read that I put up on my page.
So it does beg the question, though, why would Donald Trump do that? I was just thinking about it when it was released, because if anything, it to me makes it seem more like there really is no evidence of crime. If you're pardoning Hunter Biden business associate, right?
Well, I don't remember why Devin Archer was prosecuted in the first place, so I'd have to re-up my memory on that. But the thing is, Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, through his testimony, cleared Joe Biden and Hunter. Yes, Joe Biden contacted his son multiple times on the phone, but then again, Beau Biden was having medical issues and he just passed away. So yes, father and son talked a lot about each other, because Hunter Biden was also back in substance. And so he was checking on his son like a good father does. Devin Archer also said that no, they never talked about business. They didn't say, hey, join my son's business, blah, blah, blah. He never talked about that. So he's already cleared him. So I have no idea on the other stuff.
It says, I'll read it to you. It's on the Associated Press. Donald Trump on Tuesday pardoned former business partner of Hunter Biden, who was convicted of, participating in a conspiracy to defraud a Native American tribe. Devin Archer later became a key figure in the congressional inquiry into Biden family business, telling lawmakers behind closed doors that the younger Biden sold the, quote, illusion of access to his father. Before signing the pardon, Trump said Archer was treated very unfairly.
Well, you know, the illusion, yes. He also made a comment about Russians do that too. They bluster about an activity with a group to get more input or activities from potential clients. He made a comment about that. Hunter did the same thing. No big deal. But you know who else does that, Zeus?
Who?
The Trump family.
Thank you.
Trump, in his own words, says, "I like nepotism." All right.
So we caught him.
So Hunter Biden doing something. Yeah, my dad's the vice president of the United States. Well, Ivanka, 26 trademarks from China while working for daddy in the White House, which goes against the Emoluments Clause in the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
You have Eric Trump saying that they don't need American banks. They get money from Russia for their golf courses. And then you have Don Jr. also doing the same thing. And then promoting products online for their family. So you want to talk about using influence of your daddy's presidency for your business?
Right.
They did the same thing.
Wow.
They did the same thing.
They're guilty as charged. Well,
They're
there you
guilty,
have it.
And the people who support them ignored that fact. And again, like with you the other day, where you were asked about Harry Sesson.
Oh, they bring that up all the time.
Why don't they concern themselves about Trump's own words of saying, me and my daughter have relations in common? I walked in the dressing rooms of naked underage teens. I could grab women by the coochie. And then you have 26 women saying he's done these certain things. And they say, I don't believe any one of them.
Yeah.
Donald Trump and his own wife in her divorce said that Donald Trump raped me because of a bad hair plug day for his hair, the fake hair.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody coming out in their own divorce decree saying this, and you ignore it, and then you say that you protect children, Janae.
Oh.
By the way, let me ask you a question. What's the average age of a person going to college and graduating?
I have no clue. What's the answer? What, 22?
Well, let's say you're
23?
18 when you get out of high school.
Yeah, 22, 23.
22, 23. And if you have a job for 23 years, doing whatever it is, for 23. So if you get out of college at 22, and then you have you have a job for 23 years, that makes you about 45, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how can you work in the so-called police industry helping child trafficking for 10 years, but say you're not over 50? Mathematics doesn't work that way for me.
No.
If I'm 43 and I'm starting a new career and I have to go to college to get education for that career, and then I work in that career for another 10 years. So that takes me from 43 to maybe 55, 55.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're up there.
How can people lie about their age?
Because that's what they do when they have nothing of value. When they don't care about themselves, they just go around lying to try to fit a narrative that they think other people want them to fit.
Yeah, just
it's
so
weird.
Just so people know, I still have my belt sander. And if you need some rubbing out on your face because it's all potted, you want it a little smoothed out, Janae, I'll help you.
Oh, my Lord.
I'll grind on your face a little bit.
Oh, my Lord. Knock it off attacking. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to move it on. W attacking in the chat. You know, it's something about saying that name. It just makes my skin
It makes me
curl.
want to puke.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes my skin curl.
Well, the thing is, it's because we know the name comes with disgust and lies.
Yeah, it really does.
Your name doesn't come with disgust and lies. Your name comes with the truth.
Thank you.
Each and every one of the people listening to you, they may not like you, but they know if they were to validate what you say, it would all come up truthful. Each and every person who's on the right-hand side can validate or verify what he says, and there's no lies detected.
Amen.
Now, could there be a misquote of a tally?
Yeah, of course.
But that's just it. You and I accept that.
Yeah. I'm willing. That's why the Triple H, the middle H, is humble. It's very important to understand you're not always going to get it right. All right, but the angle we're taking is the right angle, though. All right. All right, brother. Now I got to move it on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, W attacking. All right, W attacking. No lies detected. All right. Do we have any Trump supporters out there? Honestly, this has been one incredible show. Seriously, they took me down on my main account. I don't know why they do that. And then we're on the backup account, but the message is still the same. We are going to make sure that this administration is held accountable every inch, every centimeter, every millimeter of the way. All right. If you're a Trump supporter, please. Put a 1 in the chat, and what I'll do is I'll bring you right on up here, all right? And we'll have another conversation, all right? And because it's very important, all right? It's very, very important that we address all of the so-called stories you got going on in your head, all right? Who do we got, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, Brett, come on up here, Brett. Let's get on going. I see Brett's he might be the one that can actually help others get to see the light. Brett, I brought you on up here. It doesn't take that long to accept it. All right. Oh my goodness. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a Trump supporter, and I'll bring you right on up here. All right. Let's see. Who do we got? What is this? What did you say? Wondering where your forum was 4 years ago talking about the Biden presidency fraud. What is this? Terry, what are you talking about? Well, at least you stopped lying about being a hip hop artist. Oh my gosh. What does they say? Dean still lying, Zeus? Oh, okay. DC, come on up here. What are you talking about? W Rick in the chat. Oh, you've been looking for me? Well, I've been looking for you. All right. Listen, I'm going to give you a little more time to any Trump supporter out there. Right now, I know you're battling whatever addiction you have. I know the MAGA demon is doing a number on you, right? I know there's a Trump supporter out there in the audience right now. Their wife, their husband is doing something dirty behind their back. They scraping the last they got out of the coin jar that they had stored in the garage, and they just waiting on the Lord to bless them. All right, but the Lord isn't going to bless you unless you get in this box. All right, and you know exactly who you are. All right, you're struggling right now, right? You're wondering, am I going to heaven or am I really going to hell? Like Zeus says, W. Rick. Yeah. You just left church Sunday, yeah. And your pastor told you a blessing is coming, but you got to do the work. And you say, well, what does that mean? And then you're on this show right now. You're listening to the Democrats do a number in terms of debunking all of the lies and misinformation. Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you are that Trump supporter, all right? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You still think everything Donald Trump says is true, but you're now starting to wonder, well, maybe it's not. Any of those Trump supporters out there, you're starting to see these town halls fill up, and you say, well, I think it's all Democrats. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make sense because the Democrats aren't polling that well. So how could they be that organized? And who would be funding these Democrats? And so you got questions out there. All right, I see a Trump supporter. There you go. All right, let me see if I can get G1 to get in the box. All right, what we'll do is we'll hear you out and we'll get you straightened out. All right, but you got to be willing to do the work. Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you are that Trump supporter. All right, that you're really on the verge of honestly saying, you know what, I'm done sniffing Donald Trump's diaper. I'm done being a vassal of transgression. All right. and I'm willing to start taking steps in the right direction. All right. And I want to apologize. You got to be willing to apologize for the ultimate sin you did this last election by not voting for Kamala Harris. I don't give a darn if you felt like she wasn't a good candidate. What did you decide to go do? You said, I'm going to go vote for the person that I know is the worst candidate. And you know why you did that? I've been thinking about this. And I know exactly why these Trump supporters, they said, because you all are right. It's the racism and it's the misogyny. Case closed. You couldn't bring yourself, because most of you don't trust the government. This is how their mindset works. Because, I speak to these people. This is how their mindset works. They go, hey, I don't trust the government, but if I'm going to get screwed over, I'd rather have my own screw me over than to have her. And that's the mindset. Oh, look at this G1. You came up here.
Yeah, I had a phone call. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. You voted for Donald Trump, sir?
Yeah.
Well, why are you talking like that?
I'm sorry. How am I talking?
You're just talking like you're playing games on TikTok.
Oh, I'm at work.
Oh, well, then I don't want you to lose your job, all right? You want to get back in...
But
huh?
I appreciate your consideration.
Well, what do you do for a living? Because the audience can't hear you, and they would like for you to speak up.
Okay, hold on. I'm on earbuds.
Okay, yeah. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a brave soldier right here. He came onto the show, and hopefully... Yeah, I can hear you a lot better.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I just closed my office door.
Now, is that you married? Is that your wife in the photo?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Wife. Okay, all right. What part of the country are you in?
I live in Southern California.
SoCal, all right. You're in the same state as me. All right. Yeah, awesome. Did you really vote for Donald Trump, or is this you joking with me?
Oh, no. I'm independent, but I voted for Donald Trump.
Could you explain to us why would you do that, especially to the love of your life? Did she also vote for Trump?
I'm not really too sure what that means to the love of my life or anybody.
Okay.
I think that you're pointing towards racialized social constraint when you talk like that. But I voted.
Did she vote for Trump?
No, she didn't vote for Trump.
Have you been having difficult conversations with your wife since he's gotten elected about the Trump administration today?
Well, to go further with that, she also didn't vote for Kamala.
You mean Kamala? Okay.
Or whatever, however you say
Okay,
it.
so have you all been having any of these conversations since Trump got elected about where things are headed right now?
Yeah, we've had some discussions.
And if you don't mind, how are those going?
They're not arguments.
I mean, hopefully you're not in there arguing with the person that's helping feed you, because you don't bite the hand that feeds you. But how are those conversations, honestly? How are they going in the house?
What do you mean by that?
Like, are you all celebrating? Are you both celebrating? The golden age, right? Low gas prices, low energy prices. Your groceries, because groceries is his favorite word, right? Those are all coming down. Are you celebrating anything that Trump has done since he's gotten into office yet?
Well, I'd say we just celebrate all the time. We're not really too worried about prices. Not to say that it doesn't matter. It does. Certainly.
Yeah. That's what he said. That's the thing that got him elected was inflation. So it's just, to me, it's mind blowing that inflation just isn't a thing anymore. It's like, where did it go? Oops. Right?
I know in February it dropped 0.2 points. Not sure what it is in March because we're still in March. But technically, inflation, according to the Department of Economics, it has dropped.
Has it dropped to where is it at right now?
I think it was at 1.9, so I believe it's 1.7 now.
Okay, and is that healthy or no? Let me see. Let me go ahead.
Well,
You mind if I fact check that real quick?
Go for it.
All right,
I'm not on that website.
Well,
I could be wrong about the 1.9, but I'm pretty sure it's a 0.7 something. So it could be 3.8. It could be like that. So go for it.
Okay, I'm just double checking it right now because sometimes people say things. All right, so it says it ended in February at 2.8%.
Here you go.
Yeah. Okay, but February saw a 0.2% increase. Okay, so it's look like it's going in the wrong direction. And what about the
from
eggs and
January,
stuff? Yeah,
from January to
yeah,
February.
it should be decreasing because when he got into office, he said he's going to stop it, right? And that's what you want.
I saw a
So,
decrease. I don't
oh,
know.
okay. Well, what about the eggs? What about the eggs?
What about the eggs?
Those eggs. Are you experiencing shortages of eggs in your neck of the woods?
We're not. No, we kind of live around a bunch of farms and stuff too.
So you got
So
farmed eggs. Okay.
eggs aren't really a shortage, but we don't also eat. We also don't eat eggs like that, where it's a major problem.
Oh well, then I mean, it seems like inflation isn't an issue for you, and it seems like eggs aren't an issue for you. So, can I ask you an honest question? Was this your first time voting for Trump, or did you do it all 3 times?
I voted for him 3 times. Yeah.
3 times. Wow. What
Who
do
did
you
you
do?
vote for?
What do
Kamala.
you? What do
Did you vote for Kamala? And why did you vote for her?
Well, I said her name is Kamala.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So you have a problem actually pronouncing her name, or is it
No,
just
just
that you're
everybody pronounce it.
intentionally doing that?
Well, no. The question was, did you vote for her?
Yeah.
And
Well, obviously I did. All
it's,
right, so here we go. I think I'm getting a good feel for you. I think you genuinely care about the United States, right?
of course.
And I think that you and I can both agree. Well, what is your opinion about DEI?
Well, I think it's a slap in the face.
Why?
I think that black community is just upset with me. And
Your
I think that
signal,
if
your
there's
signal is breaking up. Okay, I can hear you now.
okay, I think it's a slap in the face.
So
I think it's lowering the standard for people. Go
okay.
ahead.
So are you a racist person or are you anti-racist?
Well, I'm not racist at all,
So you're
but
anti-racist.
sure.
So that means you support DEI.
No, that's not what it means. It means
So
I'm
then you're
anti-racist.
racist. So that means you listen. You're either racist or you're not racist,
No, well,
right?
you can't relate the two.
No,
It's
they
either
actually.
you're
What's the
one.
opposite of being racist?
It wouldn't be to be in support or non-support of DEI. That's not what people say,
I'm
but that's
asking
what
you
you're
a
saying.
simple question, bro, because I'm challenging your ability to actually confront a reality that you obviously seem to benefit from. If it wasn't for
What is
DEI,
that?
honestly, I don't think if that's your wife, I don't think you would be able to do that. If the Democrats didn't help allow for interracial marriage, right? You're married?
Yes, I previously stated that was my wife.
Yeah. So if the Democrats didn't help champion things like, civil rights and things like, interracial marriage, what you have going on right now, honestly, you wouldn't be able to have.
I don't believe that.
It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. It's fact.
Well, it doesn't matter if you believe that either.
But see, here's the thing. It's fact. You don't have to believe that it's raining outside, even if it's raining. If that's what you choose to do, that's your opinion. That's your right, but it doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean? You probably go and eat you eat food, you eat out a lot, right?
I guess.
Yeah, and you probably eat food from other cultures. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's DEI right there. It's interesting to me how DEI could be integrated in every aspect of American society, especially like pop culture and even our sports and stuff like that. And I would imagine you like watching sports, right?
Sure.
You like consuming content from various content creators of different colors, whether it's music, movies, and stuff like that. Isn't it funny how DEI is in every aspect of your life, but you can't bring yourself to admit that, you know what, it's not a bad thing? Why is that?
I never said that DEI is a bad thing for
Oh,
organizations, but I don't support it because it lowers the standard for organizations
okay. So
to
let me
include these
let me let me
people.
ask you this again. When you go and eat other people's food and they cook it for you, do you say this lowers the standard?
Well, I don't believe that that's DEI. You think that that's DEI.
What does DEI
But
stand
that's in
for?
fact a
What does
free
DEI?
market,
Well, let's then
which is American
well,
capitalism. We have a free
what does
market.
DEI
So
stand for in your
that
world?
diversity has always been here.
What does DEI
It
stand
wasn't
for?
because of DEI.
What does DEI stand for?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. But does that mean that
So-
that allows me to eat different foods? No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It just means that we live in a capitalistic society and we have a free market. So that's the reason why. It is
Okay. Even if I wanted to entertain this, and I'm sorry to harp on this issue with you, but I honestly know that you're trying your best to say you don't support DEI, right? You're trying your best to say that, but low key,
I support the ability to be able to do the job.
but no, you
So
don't.
should
I can
we
prove
say
you
that
don't. I can prove you
organizations
don't.
should
I
lower
can
their
prove you.
standard to include people that aren't actually qualified to do the job?
Have you ever heard me or any Democrat say they believe organizations should lower the standards?
Well, that's what's being done when you have
No. Have you ever heard anyone articulate that point of view from the Democrat side, that organizations and businesses should lower their standards simply to allow a person that isn't qualified to have that role? You've never heard that.
It is what happens, and
No,
it is what
no.
has happened. So that's a fact.
Honestly, if it did happen, then you know what? I personally would be one of the first people to say that's totally unacceptable.
But then at the same time, it isn't the black community that even benefited from it the most. We already know. It's already been out for what, a month and a half, 2 months,
What?
as who benefited from DEI the most.
What are you talking about? White women?
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't want to get into that because that's also something that I wanted to touch bases with you on.
Okay.
But here's the rub. Pete Hegseth, would you consider him a merit-based hire?
I considered him an appointee.
No. I'm asking clear questions. Is it a merit-based hire? What Pete Hegseth is, his position as the Secretary of Defense?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. WG in the chat. Because I honestly believe you believe it's merit-based. If you don't mind, what are his qualifications that you think makes him the most qualified person to be the Secretary of Defense in the United States? And honestly, I'm going to write them down if you don't mind. Hold on, let me get my ink pen. All right, what do you think are his qualifications?
I don't think it really matters what I think his qualifications are. I think what matters is that the President of the United States thinks that he's qualified. And so he is doing what he's doing.
No. You said merit. You think it's a merit-based.
According to the President of the United States, based on his life or his experiences, those were good enough for him to be the Secretary of...
No, I'm not asking you to use Donald...
Secretary of Defense.
Do you know how to think for yourself yet?
Is that a real question? Are you
because you're giving me
not
Donald...
talking to a robot.
Okay, you're giving me what you believe Donald Trump's mindset is. I'm asking you to be a free thinker and just educate me on what Pete Hegseth's qualifications are that you believe allow him to be the most qualified candidate to be the Secretary of Defense.
Well, I guess because he served on a Army National Guard, right? Officer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He went to Princeton University, Harvard University.
Okay.
Right? Well, there's other, along that education, I'm sure there's things that he's learned and experiences that you or I don't have that allow him to be able to be the Secretary of Defense for now.
All right. Okay. I'm just, and so those are all your answers.
Go ahead, you can tear it down.
No. I mean, was he ever? Did he earn the Defense Distinguished Service Medal? Did he earn the Army Distinguished Service Medal, Silver Star? Did he get a Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion or Merit, anything like that that you can ascribe to him and his success?
Well, he did earn 2 Bronze Star medals, the Joint Commendation Medal, 2 Army Commendation Medals, the Combat Infantry Badge, and Expert Infantry Badge.
Okay, and where does that place him in terms of all the other secretaries of defense and based on their merits with all of that information? And please go through the list of them as well, if you don't mind, since you're so smart.
When you're asking questions, I'm just giving you answers.
Yeah. Whatever your answers are, I'm trying to get to the place where you understand, well, obviously, he wasn't the most experienced person in the military. Have you ever seen him next to our generals? Have you ever seen him decorated his breastplate? Do you see it? Have you ever looked at it? You have a photo you can show me of all of Pete Hegseth's stars and medals that he's won? You have anything like
Donald
that you can show?
Rumsfeld a general?
Huh?
Was Donald Rumsfeld a general?
Why are you bringing up anything like that? You're the one up here
Was
talking
any
about
other
merit.
Secretary of Defense a general?
I'm not asking you to ask me questions.
then
I'm
that
asking
doesn't
you.
matter.
You don't have any
Pete
answers. All
Hegseth
right.
doesn't matter if
So-
the other generals. They're generals. They're serving their country. They're
So
in a different position.
hold on.
They're in a different position.
Hold on. So let me ask you a serious question. All right. You honestly are going to sit up here and say that Pete Hegseth is the most qualified person in the United States to be the Secretary of Defense. Is that your argument? And
That is you putting words in my mouth. I never said that.
So you don't think he's qualified?
I said he's qualified enough for now. And those are the words I use. But you're saying the most. You're putting
Okay,
words
let me
in my
ask you this. Let me ask you this, since you think he's so smart. Did Secretary Lloyd Austin, did he ever leak any information through Signal like Hegseth?
I'm pretty sure that everybody's in an uproar about Signal. Here's the thing about that. It happened, and so did the strike. Big deal. I don't think that you were really upset when Biden's laptop was found to have, information on it that was secure. I don't think you're upset about the emails and Hillary. I don't think you're upset about that. But because it's Donald Trump, I think you're upset about it, or under his administration.
Yeah.
I think that is where your feelings come from.
Well,
And it is, in fact, over feelings with you. You're actually leading with your feelings.
Okay.
Because I don't think you were in an uproar about those things that
No.
happened.
Well, can I shut you down on the Biden stuff? Was how come the Republicans never even brought any evidence of crimes the Biden administration committed? They had the opportunity.
Where's
to
the
impeach him.
laptop?
I could care less. No one has voted for
Nobody
Hunter Biden.
knows the laptop is, right?
No.
And okay, well then if he's not guilty,
No one
then
voted for
11-year
Hunter.
pardon.
No one voted for Hunter Biden.
An
Number one.
11-year pardon. Why would he need that?
Okay. You know what? You got to do what you got to do when you have a corrupt administration like the Trump administration
Like
doing
Biden,
what they
right?
do. No. But here's what I believe, because I like that you've taken me down this path. I honestly believe that you don't want to admit that Pete Hegseth doesn't have the merit to actually be in that position. But what you're struggling to do is justify it on your end. And this is the world you've created for yourself. You also
I
want to
actually
sit
don't
there
even
and
think about him at all, to be honest.
listen.
I think you're asking the questions.
Well, no,
And you have
no.
to
We
give
were
him
talking.
time,
We
I
were
guess, to
talking
prove
about.
himself.
We were talking about DEI. All right?
Mhm.
And we were talking about merit. And Pete Hegseth has no merit to be in that position, which is why you started bringing up all these other people who've been in that position and tried to use that as a justification. I asked you very simply, what are his qualifications to be Secretary of Defense? What experience does he have managing millions and millions of people at that level? You don't have any answers.
And
He
then-
doesn't have
no, I
any.
gave you the
You
answers.
didn't
I
even
gave
bring
you
up
the
his.
answers,
You didn't
but
even
you
bring
don't
up
like
his
my
Fox.
answers.
Hold on. You didn't
You
even
wanted
bring
to
up his
compare him
Fox.
to generals,
Hold on.
and
Hold
the
on.
general's
Hold on.
already in a position.
I'm going to mute him. So you didn't even bring up his whole work experience working at Fox News. So you're going to get up here, you're going to try to read a bunch of stuff off the internet and try to make yourself seem like, well, Pete Hegseth is the most qualified person that you've ever seen in that position. Well, at the end of the day, we've all just witnessed, I would argue, the most worst national security disaster this country has ever faced by a Secretary of Defense. Hunter Biden's laptop, I already did a poll. No one cares. No one's life was put at
No one
risk.
on your life
No, listen.
cares.
No
That's what you need to say.
one's life was put at risk as a result of Hunter Biden's laptop. So knock it off. Biden, if they had crimes,
anybody's
no,
life
listen,
at
listen,
risk
if
for these-
listen.
these signal messages? No.
If President
Your life isn't at
Biden,
risk.
hold on, Jesus Christ, this is the problem. If President Biden truly was committing crimes, then the Republicans should have done what they really had the power to do, which was impeach him. And the fact that they didn't speaks volumes. And you want to talk about crime, you seem to not care about all of Donald Trump's crimes. So when you get into my box and you start trying to play this moral high ground game with me, it's not going to work. The reason that I'm on you like white on rice, honestly, is because of this. DEI, and you're trying to get away. No.
TDS.
Yeah, you know DEI is obviously in every part of your life. You're literally benefiting from it every single day. But you're going to get up here on my show and try to act like it isn't what it is, as though I haven't seen this game being played before. All right. So I don't buy your answer. No, listen, I don't buy your answer that DEI isn't a part of your life. And I don't buy your answer that people are getting put in positions as a result of DEI that they're not qualified for. Because what we see is Pete Hegseth is a good example of people getting put in positions that they don't qualify for. And technically that would be the definition of DEI.
Well,
okay.
that is your opinion. And
No. It's not my opinion. It's facts. Right now, we have airplanes currently falling out of the sky at a record rate. We have airplanes falling out of the sky at a record rate. You don't say nothing about that. We got measles outbreaks happening. You don't say anything about that. Now you got this leak going on Signal, and you're not saying anything about that because you're so busy.
Measles into the conversation?
Because you don't know anything. You don't know anything, all right?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, okay. and either that or you're just
maybe you should get your vaccines.
Hey, how do you know I haven't already done it?
MMA
so here's the deal.
All right, cool.
Here's the deal. You don't have anything to brag about that Donald Trump has done since he's gotten into office, right? You don't. I asked you earlier. I said,
"Oh, well, I mean, if you want to start talking about Trump, we could talk about Trump."
No. Well. First, before we do that, let me just say this to the audience. This is somebody up here who's obviously lying to himself, and not really.
Well, also, audience, this is somebody that's put.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute him. He's lying to himself, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't want to acknowledge that what he did and who he supports is actually making his life 10 times worse. All right. He has no evidence to prove that DEI actually made the country worse. All the evidence that I see, and it's empirical evidence that shows we were a lot safer under the Biden administration, which clearly had DEI as a good thing. It was a positive thing. He had Kamala Harris as his vice president. That's proof of DEI. He had Pete Hegseth. Not Pete Hegseth. Lord have mercy. Pete Buttigieg. He had Pete Buttigieg. You want to get the best and the brightest in there, and you want to open it up so that everybody that's actually qualified can have a chance to be successful. All right, that's really the game here. But what we have right now is Donald Trump has surrounded himself by a bunch of people like this guy, G1. G1 is the type of person, if you ask me, he'll lie to you. I don't know what you do for a living, but you're the type of person that would lie to their boss and tell them everything's fine when you know it's not.
I'm actually, I have a life of government service. That's actually what I do for a living.
Goodness.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now is sitting in my office right now, having a conversation with you before I get to work. So if you want to roll your eyes, go ahead, roll your eyes.
What do you do in the government?
But
what do you do in the government? What do you do in the government? Okay, so would you lie? Would you lie and give you?
Actually, I work for the state of California.
Okay, listen. Would you lie? So you work for the state or you work for the government?
The state government.
Okay, so you don't work for the federal. So you don't work for the federal government. You report to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. I work for the state.
So Gavin Newsom is how you get paid.
No, I get paid by payroll.
Who's the governor of California?
Who signs my checks? Not Gavin Newsom.
Who's the controller in California?
I would say it would be the state controller that signs it.
Yeah. I just asked you that. So what we got going on, and you know what? I think I get how you act. When you're wrong, you just can't bring yourself to admit it.
I don't think you get how I act. Actually,
you
do. Like to put. You've already done it a couple times. You put words in my mouth.
I asked you,
and you try to say and repeat what I'm saying, but you say it different, and you throw in words in there, and that's to fit what your opinion is about. I get it. That's fine. You feel a certain way, and you're entitled.
No.
But what you're saying it isn't fact. So not everything that everybody is going to say is going to be, right on point. I mean, you're allowed
Okay,
to have your
but
opinion, like I
honestly,
said.
bro,
I got mine.
you live in California. It's one of the most diverse states in the union. Yes or no? It's not so much that I'm putting words in. No. It's
Sure.
not
I
so
mean,
much. It's not so
sure. I
much.
mean, I don't
Jesus
know
Christ.
the
It's not so
statistics.
much that I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm looking at and I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm able to kind of come to my own conclusions about things, right? So you live in one of the most diverse states in the union, right? This is a yes or no. Now watch you do your little thing. You can't just bring yourself.
I
You
said,
just can't
sure.
say yes, right? So you.
We don't really know if that's true or not. There is New York City. There is New York.
I said it's one of the most diverse states in the union.
Okay.
I didn't say it was
Okay,
the
I would
only
agree.
one, but your mind has got you in this moment.
Go ahead, I would agree.
Your mind's got you in this moment
I'm
where
just
you
stuck
say,
on that,
"I
man.
can't be taught anything." So, and I've been in LA because I'm out here. I see what's going on. I understand the cultures that we have integrated into this state, and I have never met anybody that sees all of this going on that hasn't said, "Hey, why not go to the store and get a burrito or something? Hey, why don't go over here and get me some Italian food? Why don't go over here and get some sushi?" And we pride ourselves because where a good Mexican restaurant is, where a good sushi, where a good Chinese. That's how it is out here in the Bay and in California in general, right? So stop
Yeah,
right
but
there.
that's not
Stop
a
right
that's
there.
not a
Stop
product of
right
DEI,
there.
though, man.
These are businesses.
You don't
Listen,
even know what I
these
said.
are companies. You want to talk about free market and capitalism? That is you engaging in businesses in the state of California, and that is diversity. And for you to sit up here and
Okay.
try to sit here, no,
Yeah, but that's not a
no.
government
Jesus
implemented
Christ.
act as far as for
Okay,
organizations.
so can you open up a business in
With-
California on your own, or do you got to follow state and local laws and federal laws? This is all tied to the government, bro.
Both.
Okay,
Both.
so
But just because you're black or white or Asian, they're not going to say yes or no.
and that's the
Okay.
whole point. That's the whole point. No,
It's been
it
that
never
way.
was. When you guys talk about DEI, it was never about black or white or Asian or anything like that. It was about, are you actually qualified to do this? Do you have the skill set to do this? Duh. Otherwise, these businesses wouldn't be successful. These organizations wouldn't be successful. California itself wouldn't be successful. You need diversity in every aspect in order for a country to be successful. And this is the whole point.
Well,
Huh?
diversity naturally happens. Diversity naturally
But this is
happens
my
in our
point.
country.
Now we're
It's
back to
forward
where I
plan.
started with you. So if diversity
To
naturally,
make
listen,
organizations. This
listen, bro,
policy
listen,
was
bro.
for
I don't know what policy you're
organizations to
talking.
follow.
If diversity naturally happens, then how could you fix your mouth to say it's a bad thing?
We're talking about this law that he just wrote
Who?
an EO on. That's what we're talking about. But
No,
if
no,
you
no.
want to
I
talk
wasn't even
about
talking about no
the
EO.
actual
I don't know what the heck you're talking about at this point. You're just
yeah,
spiraling
so
out and you're
yeah,
saying
the
a bunch of
DEI
stuff.
first
Sir, honestly,
Lyndon B. Johnson's executive
now you're
order,
going,
the one
oh
that
my
he
God.
rescinded when he got into office. That's what we were
freaking
talking
Christ.
about. But if you want to talk about as a nation, fine, yeah, of course, diversity is always going to be good. That's what we thrive upon. That's what our nation is
I'm
built upon.
done. I'm done. What we're
So,
going to do now is move on to the next level of the DEI training. No,
all
no,
right,
you
then,
stay
have a
right
good day.
there.
Oh no, I gotta go. I gotta write these contracts. It's 8:30 about to be. So you have a good day.
Chinga tu maga. So what kills me about this?
You want to drop me? I don't want to
Yeah,
be
no,
rude.
you can drop yourself because you
Yeah.
already dropped yourself when you wrote
Yeah,
this
you
off.
can't handle, honestly, I get it.
Well, I can't see here all
No,
day,
no,
guys.
no,
I got
no.
a job.
You sat here long enough, so have a conversation with
Yeah,
me,
had a
brother.
conversation, bro. Because if he can't get through, if he can't
Yeah, then how
get
long
through
was
to
that?
you, then we don't know what else will. But you're sitting here with a woman of color as your wife, and you just aren't able to receive this truth.
Well, here's the thing. What you're showing me is that you are literally a product of racialized social constraint. You reflect that in the most boldest ways. Now, maybe you should understand why. why you vote Democrat, because this seems like you're stuck
Okay,
on
you know
that.
what?
But
Let's
go
let's
for it.
start here.
Because if you want to be in a
Yo, G.
box, you've been in
Hey,
that
Joe.
box.
Yo, G.
Okay, I told you
G.
from the
Okay,
beginning I was
Hey,
an
time out.
independent.
Time out.
hold on.
G.
Listen,
I
listen
voted
up.
for
G, let's
whatever
start
was good
here.
for the
Let's start
country.
here.
But that's it.
Let's start
So
here. Drop the
I'm
race. Drop the
what
race.
you got.
Let's talk politics. Drop the race. Let's talk politics. Fair enough. So, with you being a Trump supporter, can you please give me your opinion on the latest of our military secrets being put onto a third party app? What is your take on that, sir? How do you feel about that, knowing that this came out of the administration that you voted for?
G, you can't say you got these contracts to do, and then all of a sudden we ask you serious questions, and you got I can't answer the questions. You
How do
claim
I
you're
feel?
teaching us something.
How do I feel
Yeah,
about
how do you feel about
military
that?
secrets in a group text? What military
Yeah,
secrets about your men?
you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
yes,
So
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 stop.
does everybody else. Did anything change in your life?
It's, how do you
I personally don't
think?
give a shit. I
Hey,
really
You
don't
don't.
keep
care.
it clean. Keep it clean. We don't
Yeah,
curse
my
over
bad. I
here.
really don't care. It doesn't really affect anything. They
That
still
it.
did what they were supposed to do.
Wait. But yet you're talking about Democrat, Republican. But yet I heard 10 minutes ago when Zeus asked you, he said, "I assume you care about the United States of America." He said, and you said, "Of course." So if you care about the United States of America, that begs into question, do you not care about the inadequacies that we have running this government? Because it does affect you.
Here he
It may
goes.
not have affected your life today, but it does affect you.
No, it doesn't affect him, Nutty. He's one of these people that lives in the country, but he's not in the country, if you know what I'm saying. That's how he operates.
You know, it's
That doesn't
wild
even
to
make
me.
sense.
It's wild to me
Well,
because
duh.
he is really triggered by DEI and A, because we can't
I'm not
forget the
triggered at all. I
accessibility.
think that
He's
this is a
triggered
constant
by it.
conversation
But
within your
but
life
we
every
went
day.
from Lloyd Austin to this.
Are
It's
you are
correct.
you honestly, G? You're good at what you're doing in terms of defending corruption and evil like this, and you would actually do good in the Trump administration. I can tell. But are you
You don't
really?
think that Biden was corrupt and evil?
You show me any
You
evidence
don't
that
think
Joe Biden was
Cam?
corrupt.
How do you say her
You,
name? How do you
no,
say
you
her
show
name?
me. No,
I'm
no.
gonna say
See, what
Kamala.
we're not gonna do. What we're not gonna do. How
What are
dare
we
you
not gonna do?
disrespect a black woman when you're married to a black woman? How dare you disrespect a black woman? You know how to say her name. Now I'm gonna have you
Get off your
stop.
high horse,
I'm
man.
gonna tell you to stop with
I'm
that
saying her
BS right
name how
now.
it's spelled.
Stop disrespecting her. You are disgusting.
Shut your ass up, bro. You
No, you
crying
get up
too
out of
much.
here, you little coon. Get out of here. I'm sick of people like you.
Hey, oh
You
well.
jizz guzzling
Oh well.
motherfucker.
You don't like it? Chinga tu madre, right?
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. See now it's getting to a place that I just can't do. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. What we're gonna do is W Nutty in the chat. What we don't want to do is devolve into the world. This guy comes from the underworld, all right? But you know what? We got Lake of Fire for him, all right? And I understood the tactic that he was displaying on TikTok, but unfortunately it didn't work. This is a brother that honestly, actually, I don't know what he is, but he hates himself. All right, Nutty, you want to say anything before I get to judgment? Because that was what I needed this morning to get to the next level. All right, and I appreciate you, whatever you are. I'll take care of you, Nutty. What do you got?
No, you go ahead with
Okay,
judgment.
all right, judgment time. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is somebody that's literally profiting off of all the work that Democrats have done in this great country of ours. Sitting up there with his boo, perhaps, and she could be innocently in this, and so I don't want to get to her, but he's allowing himself to believe all of the lies and the misinformation that they spew, and then somehow he's positioned himself to believe that as long as he repeats Donald Trump's words and he says it long enough, hard enough, and strong enough, then eventually it'll be true. And if he clicks his heels 3 times, his world will change as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and send that deranged, evil person, you know who he was, where he belongs, straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
And so I just wanted to add this to the Gregories in the chat and the DJs in the chat. And those are you who say, well, you know what, Zeus, that was a difficult conversation. You didn't really. And I want to say this. When you're dealing with somebody that's in the throes of an addiction, that's exactly what I am talking about. You couldn't tell. There's nothing I could say to a person like that. You know, put it down. Put the drink down. Put whatever you're on down. Oh no, I just gotta have it. I just gotta have it. And you know, these people are willing to do whatever it takes to get another swig. All right. W Zeus in the chat. These people will do anything to get another swig of that diaper. It's the most bizarre thing. Uh-oh, you got in trouble, Antifa. I gotta remove you. All right, I gotta remove you, Antifa. Oh my God. There he is, right here. I knew this knucklehead was gonna come up here. Now, DJ. Did you see that? DJ.
Yo,
You saw Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah, I did. And I got to tell you, Zeus, I'm going to be really quick up here. I got to give you credit for one thing, man. You kept swinging. I'll give you credit for that. But you got to admit, the guy made some valid points.
What point do you think he made, honestly? If you got to go real quick, and we'll let the audience respond to what you say. But go ahead, please tell us all, what points did he make?
He did not let you get him flustered. He stood by what he said.
Oh.
That's what he believed in.
Okay,
Again,
but was he? But was he?
Demean himself. He wasn't going to be demeaned by your opinion of his thoughts and his opinions.
But
which
DJ,
yeah.
DJ, don't I tell you I'm one of the fairest hosts? If you can actually say what you believe,
I'm not disputing that point. I'm not disputing that. You are fair.
Okay, but here's the other side of it.
I'll give you that.
Okay, here's the other side of it. Was he having a very difficult time, in your opinion, basically saying Pete Hegseth is the most qualified person to be Secretary of Defense? Because that's what I wanted him to say.
Whether Pete Hegseth is the most qualified person is somebody's opinion, Zeus, then you know that. And yes,
No.
he did. Okay.
But aren't standards important, DJ? Yes or
Absolutely.
no? Okay, you all are bragging, you're pushing this whole thing about merit based. Pete Hegseth is not qualified to do that job. You don't leave Fox News, all right, and go and oversee over 2 million people in the government and oversee our national security stuff, apparatus. And everyone knows that.
I'm not arguing with you, Zeus.
But he wanted to argue. I mean, you could say it is
right now. I'm not happy with what happened.
And anybody that actually
fumble.
Thank you. Fumble. All right, I'll give you that. Now you can.
And this is what I'm willing to admit. If the same thing happened and Biden was the president, how many people do you think would be howling and screaming?
Oh, everybody.
Everybody. And I have no argument for that whatsoever. It was a huge mistake. You know, you can dispute whether, was it classified, was it sensitive? It doesn't matter. That person should never have been on that text. Whatever happened, someone should get fired. Donald Trump made the statement yesterday that no one was going to get fired, and I disagreed with that 100% because you heard Trump screaming loud and clear that Biden should have fired his generals over Afghanistan, that Biden should have, and so again, if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
Thank you.
I agree 100% that someone should go down for what happened on that case.
Wow, W. Kabir. Look at that, DJ. Look at that. Wow. W. Kabir. And let this be a lesson. Because believe it or not, DJ, it was getting to the point with that previous guest where I said, you know what? Maybe I should lower my standards and really do the whole Ali shuffle, the whole rope-a-dope on them and just do a number. But because I knew I got warned on my prior account, I had to say, oh, we're going to still have to be very, very measured in terms of how we respond to situations like this.
I mean, it was a good debate between you guys. You brought your points and he brought his points. And like I said, I was very impressed with the gentleman. I was.
Right. But I think there was something to that. Even if you are calm, which is to me obviously the best way to start, you can honestly still be wrong. And what we saw right there is, someone unwilling to do what you just did. Acknowledge something is seriously wrong right now in this country, especially with our Secretary of Defense. And I'm not talking about him on a personal level. I'm simply acknowledging, like you said, if Joe Biden did anything like this, if anything like this happened under the Biden administration, heads would be rolling. And you can get up here and calmly try to make it look like it wasn't that bad, but Americans are not buying it.
Again, I'm not saying that it was that it. Again, what happened
Not
should
you.
never have happened.
Not
I'm
you.
not backing up. I'm not backing up. What should not have happened. Does that mean that I think Pete Hegseth should be fired? No, I don't. But someone somewhere somehow has to be held responsible.
Okay, okay, DJ, I think you did a good thing, but why isn't Pete Hegseth the one that leaked the war plans?
I don't know of any war
Oh,
plans.
but maybe
got
you
leaked?
didn't. Maybe you haven't seen the screenshots that have came out today. Did you see
Maybe
those?
so.
Okay.
Maybe so.
Well,
Maybe
I
so.
think I would go and encourage you, bro, to see those screenshots, because if you and let me see if I can get them up here for you, DJ. All right, hold on, because I get it. You might be behind the times, all right, and we don't want you to do that. Let me see if I have it. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. There it is, right there. You see what that says?
I can barely read it, Zeus.
So that's Pete
I'm on a phone.
Hegseth. That's Pete Hegseth giving a team update. He says time now, and he gives the time 11:44 Eastern time. Weather is favorable, just confirmed with CENTCOM that we are go for mission launch 12:15. F-18's launch first strike package, and then at 1:45 triggered base F-18 first strike window starts. And he's giving out these descriptions of all the strikes that are taking place at around that time. That's information that Pete Hegseth should not be disclosing on Signal.
And who was disclosed to that other than the reporter from The Guardian?
You see
correct?
those people right there?
I
These
really
are the
can't.
contacts. Mike Wall, Scott B, Walker Barrett, two Bryans, Pete Hegseth, Jacob, Dan Kantz, Joe Kantz, SM, whoever that is. I don't know who that is. All right, ladies and let's see.
I know who those folks are.
JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, Alex Wong, Susie Wiles, John Ratcliffe, Mike
I don't know who those
Needleham.
folks are. What is your point? Are those people that shouldn't have that information? Is that other than the journalist?
I'm asking you to be reasonable now, right? And ask yourself, because you said something that you said heads should roll, right?
Someone should absolutely be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and you said, then you also walked it back and you said, okay, hold on. And then you walked it back and you said, well, Pete Hegseth shouldn't be. But that information came directly from Pete Hegseth in the group chat.
Did Pete Hegseth let the journalist on the?
Oh no, Mike Walls did that.
Okay.
But Pete Hegseth should have known not to be on that thread, and so should the vice president, right?
Well, those type of threads has been approved by the CIA. Is that not correct?
I don't have any evidence of that being approved. And at the end of the day, even if it was, everyone knows that the app is really not fully safe to be on.
It's an encrypted app that the CIA has on all of their computers, to my knowledge, from what I've read.
That's what they
Again,
said.
I haven't seen that information that you just put up in front of me.
Okay.
Anyway.
But let's
Listen.
just take it for face value. Should the Secretary of Defense be putting that kind of information on Signal?
I'm extremely confident that information like that is put on correspondence between people all of the time, Zeus.
I thought you were going to do, DJ. You moved to the left, and I think you got some points today. But I'm actually equally
So you
concerned
think that
now.
those kind of communications has never happened in the past, even under Biden, under Bush, under whoever? You're thinking that's the first time that's ever happened, that those kind of directions have been put on the Signal. I think you're being disingenuous, man. I don't think that you're truly answering that question.
But DJ, in order for me, honestly, to go there, I would need proof. We can't. I don't buy just because I think it's happened. Therefore, I'm going to assume it happened, because that's almost like convicting somebody and saying they did something wrong without having any proof. If you had any examples of things like, if you could provide me any evidence of any sensitive information being leaked under any past administration, then I might entertain that. But
You mean in that form? You mean in the form of an encrypted text?
Anything.
So again, I think
anything
if you
like
think
Hunter
about what
Biden's
you're
laptop.
saying,
If
you'll realize that it's
if
seems
if
a little disingenuous. That's all.
if Hunter Biden's laptop had sensitive information on it, there would be I would definitely go, okay, we got a problem over here, right?
Are you saying that Hunter Biden's laptop didn't have sensitive information on it?
To my knowledge, it didn't. It didn't have any war plans.
I'm sure it didn't have any war plans on it. Yeah, you're probably right. And you also had 51 members of the Mr. Biden touted as top security officials that said it was Russian propaganda.
And I can go along with that path with you and say, yeah, that did come out.
Okay.
That did. I can say that did come out, and yeah, that is an issue as far as I'm concerned. And I get it. I would say that shouldn't have happened, right? But it still doesn't elevate to the level where we're at right now. Like, people could be harmed.
Oh,
right?
It's not the same level. I don't disagree with that.
So should the Secretary of Defense, if you got an option, as Pete Hegseth had, to disclose any kind of information about that attack, should he have done it on a safe channel, or should he have done it on an unsafe channel? What's your answer?
I'm extremely confident that what he felt that it was a safe channel.
But I'm asking you.
The CIA has approved that channel.
But I'm asking you personally. Would you want him to do
journalist, Zeus, if that journalist had not been on that thread, would we be hearing anything about this?
Who's to say? I don't know.
You'd have never known any of this was going on. But I mean, a journalist from The Guardian of all places. I mean,
well, how about this? I can do you one better, DJ. If he would have done it through the proper channels, we wouldn't be hearing about it.
Because the journalist would not have been on there. I agree with you 100%.
And it wouldn't have been able to get out. So what we had,
the journalist is the one that let it out. We would have never heard a word about it if it wasn't like, it was on the New York Times.
But DJ, why are you resisting this? This is bizarre.
Zeus, I think I'm agreeing with you. I think it's ridiculous to say that this is the first time that any information's ever been on Signal. I think that's a ridiculous argument.
DJ, oh my gosh, DJ. Listen, we're not saying, I will go down that path and say, okay, perhaps everybody in the administration has used it. All right. But here's the problem. I don't have any evidence.
Do you want evidence? Do you know that? Have you even looked up the fact that Signal's been available since the Biden?
Yeah, I have Signal, so I know what Signal is. But I'm telling you, you have no evidence that it happened under the Biden administration. So maybe, okay, so we can't bring them into this conversation. What we have now is concrete evidence. It's sort of like any other crime. You can't rob a bank and then go, well, Your Honor, do you think I'm the only one that has robbed a bank? That defense won't work.
I don't have a problem with that analogy.
Okay, so
I've said that I had a problem with what happened.
And you should. Do you have a problem? My question is, do you understand now why I have a problem with Pete Hegseth? Because actually, I got a problem with everyone on that group text. None of them said this is a bad place to be sharing this kind of information. Okay, create Signal, and I wouldn't have done it, but okay, what are you doing? Oh, this is my wife. We're over here. We're doing this. Okay, fine. That's just people trying to stay in touch. But literally planning an attack on an enemy through Signal, you don't... Come on, man. And then the gall of Pete Hegseth to actually say in the text messages, let me listen to what he wrote. Did you see what he wrote in one of the text messages? She says, this leaks and we look indecisive. Well, guess what? It leaked. Self-own.
Yeah.
So why do you think, how could you sit here and say Pete Hegseth shouldn't be on the chopping block, bro?
I just don't see it as a fireable offense. If I knew more, that's all.
Okay, well, DJ, you know what? Do better.
Going to hell.
Do better, DJ. Honestly, do better. I thought we had progress, but unfortunately, DJ.
All right, man. Thanks for bringing me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's DJ. You know what we got to do. Send him straight to where he goes.
Silence, you MAGA Damon. Alrighty
then. All right. Hey, Hey, Gregory, you said that I'm on a losing streak today. Well, you know what? I'd rather be on this losing streak than to have those 7 followers like you got. All right, W Zeus in the chat. Trash bait. Why weren't the generals fired for what happened in Afghanistan? Oh my gosh. Trash bait. You just keep on sitting your special behind down and learning from us. All right, RC Dubs. Good morning, bro. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm all right. You see, we got the real demons coming up today, huh?
The hypocrisy is never ending.
Yeah,
and it's bottomless. I mean, we watched an entire campaign for a year about locking up Hillary Clinton, who had been investigated, and then Trump investigated her. Couldn't find anything to indict her for.
Yeah.
The idea that we're supposed to just blow this off as if they would have done the same is just asinine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. If they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have standards at all. We're in a point where the hypocrisy is so great that they don't even care anymore. They reflexively defend the indefensible. Lock up Hillary Clinton, lock her up. They scream that for months on end. At multiple rallies, he would have them screaming, lock her up, lock her up. She testified for 11 hours. Didn't even get charged with perjury. I'd like to see all of them testify, including Trump, who says he doesn't even know anything about it.
Yeah.
How does the president not know about these things? And then they all lied yesterday saying there wasn't classified war plans. And then today, Goldberg puts out the texts. Yes, there were. Again, caught in lies. All of them have now committed perjury. The director of the CIA, the director of national intelligence have both committed perjury. That alone should be disqualifying.
You hear this?
The fact that we can't seem to have any kind of accountability for them because they don't have integrity. You don't see us, if it had been Hillary who had actually been investigated like she was and then found to have done the things that they said, then she should have been held accountable and you wouldn't have seen us making excuses. But you've got people like Reality Winner who went to prison for 5 years for releasing something that was actually beneficial to the public ultimately. Because what she was trying to prove that Fox News was lying and that Russian collusion did happen. And they were trying to downplay the Mueller report and say it didn't actually prove what it proved.
Hit them with it.
You know, I mean, they have to lie to themselves because they're defending a pathological liar. So of course they're going to lie to us. That's why I always say every single Trump supporter is a hypocrite and a liar, and you can't trust a single thing they say. It's not about integrity. It's not about principles. At this point, it's just about defending him.
Exactly. W Dubs in the chat.
And if we had both parties actually having integrity and wanting to hold our representatives accountable when they violated the law, or just fire them when they weren't doing their jobs well, we would all be better off. But we don't have that. We don't have Republicans with integrity where they actually want to hold their side accountable. They only want to look at Democrats and pretend that somehow, we're the only ones doing anything wrong. We're the only ones that should be investigated. We're the only ones that should ever be held accountable. You never saw us holding lives defending Bob Menendez, saying he was wrongfully convicted. When our side goes down for something that they did, we say, yes, that's how it should work. That's how the system should work. If you do some crime, especially when you're in the position of power and you're abusing your power, you need to be held accountable.
Hey, man.
I don't know what we're going to do if we can't get Republicans to start actually having integrity. I don't know how do you
DJ made progress today. He said someone needs to be held accountable. We agree on that level, right? But let me ask you this. Do you think Pete Hegseth should be in trouble for this too, based on what you understand, Dubs? Because maybe I'm wrong.
I think all of them should be. I mean, I'm not trying to be, biased here, but the whole chain put national security at risk, put soldiers at risk, basically put our standing at risk. People aren't going to want to trust us if we're so cavalier about just sending out war plans. Nobody's going to want to work with us or give us intelligence or share anything that's going to be helpful. I mean, we're even cutting off Ukraine intelligence.
Yeah.
We look like the bad guys now. It's weird to see this, but we actually look like we're among the axis of evil.
Mm.
You know, siding with North Korea and Russia.
Wow.
Against Ukraine. Again, like I can't even understand where we've gone so wrong that so many Americans are willing to let this happen, to really watch this and then make excuses for it and act like this is a good thing for us.
Exactly. But you know what? We're going to keep getting the truth out here, Dubs. And as always, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
I appreciate you too. Thanks, everybody. Good
All
night,
right.
and, see you around.
See you around, ladies and gentlemen. This is RC Dubs. He's laying it all out there. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, this is very terrible for the United States to have a sitting president with an incompetent administration doing what they're doing with our military. All right, just disclosing anything that comes to mind, all right, and not having a care in the world. They're using whatever app they can use. All right, what an embarrassment and what a disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's keep it going, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dubs. W Dubs in the chat. Good morning, Santana. How you doing, bro?
Morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Just another day in the kingdom. Oh, okay. You're doing the whole handsome thing. I get it. All right.
Listen, I acquiesce while I'm here with you.
Fair
But
enough.
when I'm outside of the kingdom, I know we've had a conversation, but
Yeah, there you go. Well, you've been listening to a lot of this today, brother. What are your thoughts? I mean, some people they're just dug in, right?
yeah, no. Listen, it's interesting. I was listening to the guy earlier. Was it G?
G,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
G.
and so the thing that I realized about him is he just lacked a moral compass overall, right? I mean
Mm.
that's what it really boiled down to. Because having a conversation and you wanted to specifically speak to, DEIA, or if you wanted to talk to the actual the fact that leaking military plans is detrimental. He tried to bring up the point like no one got unalived, no one was hurt, but I said this last night. If we can't handle the small things, how are we going to handle the large things?
Mm.
Right? If we had a successful mission within Yemen, yes, it wasn't leaked, right? Even though it was leaked. But if we can't do the small things right, then how are we going to do the big things right? Which is a huge problem.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
he was completely disingenuous, and he didn't want to engage with Jesus because he didn't care.
Yeah. And you
I
can't
think
help people like that. That's just, to
no.
me, it's evil, right? W. Santana, ladies and gentlemen. What we saw, it was evil. But he was so calm being evil. You have to be very concerned when you see stuff like that. That's the demon really percolating inside of somebody that's a vessel of transgression. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like having those conversations, and I think because I've spoken with a few people like DJ, I haven't spoken with him specifically, but I mean, this isn't a left or a right issue when it comes to our national security. It's an actual issue with our national security, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. And you can talk about whether, like, we know Pete Hegseth is not qualified. Like Zeus, you know this. Like you
Yeah.
clocked him. He didn't want to admit it. That's fine. Like
Yeah.
Donald Trump appointed who he appointed, but like we have to deal with the repercussions of that. But like understanding that there's a fundamental issue with our national security, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Um, but something I really wanted to bring up, Zeus, and I really wanted to speak to him about this because I felt like this would have actually hit home, right? When you talk to people like that, they don't care. They're usually self-involved, right?
Yeah.
He talked about, oh, I'm fine. You made the comment that he lives in America, but he's not something about how he's here, but he's not within the actual the group or whatever. But
Yeah.
a couple of things. I've been reading a couple of articles this morning where I don't know if you saw this, Zeus, but they're predicting that we are set to hit our debt ceiling later this
Oh.
year. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So a new article just published and is from a bipartisan study, and they said that it's aiming to be somewhere around September, but it could be as early as May where we hit our debt ceiling, right? If something isn't done,
Right.
right? But then you couple that with, I heard you mention the low projections for for consumer confidence, right? I heard you and
Yes.
Val talking about that, which is a major
Well,
thing.
listen, keep going. I gotta go check the door real quick.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
please,
yeah. Go ahead.
please keep
Go ahead.
talking, ladies. All
Go
right,
ahead.
hold on.
Go ahead. So, guys, you couple those two factors with also there's a report that just came out where all of the large banks they are losing investments, and not only are they losing investments, but they are preparing to lay people off from those large banks, right? You're from Chase and from Merrill Lynch and all of these other places. So you couple all of those things with the fact that Donald Trump is still threatening tariffs. And I said it, but we're heading towards a financial cliff, right? And I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to say that it's unavoidable, but I am trying to say that it's something that everyone needs to be aware of, right? We need to understand what's actually happening, and the people that are in charge, the leadership that's in charge, is not doing the things that they need to actually do to make sure that we're able to successfully navigate these issues, right? So the one piece of advice that I would give to any and everybody is preparation, right? Make sure you're prepared, make sure that you have a plan, just genuinely understand what's happening, because it seems like I've had an actual back and forth moment. And I at first I was willing to kind of accept the point that maybe this is intentional, right? Maybe the Trump administration is intentionally trying to do this for some alternative reason. But I think they're just dumb. I do. I'm sorry. I think that, like, after everything that's happened, I've just completely come to the conclusion that they are inept. They have no right to act. Well, I can't say right. They shouldn't be in leadership, right? Donald Trump has not put the best people around him or in his cabinet to actually take care of the country. They're self-serving, and they're gonna do everything possible to actually, to benefit them. And when you have a lack of anyone that's willing to hold people accountable on the right, when you have people like Speaker Mike Johnson saying that, oh, maybe we can eliminate circuit courts, right? Mike Johnson just came out talking about how maybe it's not a need for lower level courts. Like the people in power, the actual co-equal branches, at least one of them has advocated power, and they've given it to the presidency. And at this point, I'm at least happy that the Supreme Court is holding up their end, right? The courts are fighting back. In Donald Trump's first term, he had I think it was 64 injunctions, right? Joe Biden had 12 or 18, one or
There
two,
you
and then
go.
Barack
There you
Obama had
go.
the other.
Hey,
Yeah.
you didn't carry it on. You didn't carry it on. W. Santana, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, sometimes you gotta call a timeout and sub in, and that's what you do. All right, brother. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, I'm back. All right. So I'm assuming you covered a lot of territory, huh?
Yeah. I was just going in and talking about how there's multiple things that are happening, and especially when it comes to abdication of power, and the Mike Johnson, and how they're actually, how, I don't know if you saw this, but he talked about maybe there's a need to actually eliminate lower level courts, right?
Nasty
Yeah.
work. Nasty work.
So.
Well, Mike Johnson, he's the biggest hypocrite out there, all right, next to these Trump supporters. But you know what? None of that's going to work, all right? So listen, bro, I got to knock it. We got to round it off. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, W. Santana in the chat, he carried the show. And that just shows you how powerful the Democrats are, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, I appreciate you, brother, all right?
Absolutely. Do your thing. I appreciate you having me up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause for my good friend, Brother Santana. No lies detected. Sorry to do that to you all. Boy, oh boy. And so, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Yes, oh my goodness. Uncle Rocker, thank you. Let me see something real quickly. All right, let me see. Who do we have here? Who's Crystal Roberts? Have I spoken to you, Crystal, before I get up out of here? Sometimes I like to do a little this, a little of that. Good morning, Crystal. How are you doing? Crystal, was this an accident? You sent me a request?
No.
Okay. Well, what can I help you with?
Okay, I just wanted to say with the guy that was on there earlier, G. I've been doing some cleaning because I'm getting ready to move, but I had you up. But,
Okay.
Anyway, I want to know why couldn't they discuss this in J.D. Vance's office? Why go on to an unprotected app that with technology now, other countries can read? When Obama was going after bin Laden, nobody knew what was going on. He was in a private room, that monitoring room that they have
That part.
has the big web screen, the big screen TV.
Yeah. Situation room.
He only had a few people in there. The Republicans were pissed because they didn't get no clarification. They didn't know nothing.
That part.
They jumped all over Obama. Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you give it? No, the reason why is because of this. You have leaks. People will leak stuff. That's how he was able to get those SEALs into where they had to go, and they captured him. And they, not captured, they killed him.
Unalive. You gotta say unalive. You're right, though.
Alive. But he did it the right way.
Yeah.
So my question is, why would they even have an app, this Signal, whatever it is, that they are talking national security situations?
Yeah, and they don't. Well, the thing is, it just shows to me how incompetent these people are and how careless they are with our national security apparatus. And really, if you want to go down the path and say DEI hire, Pete Hegseth would be the definition of what they call a DEI hire, right? Because his merit alone will not allow him to be in that position, and everyone knows it. But all right, Crystal, it was a pleasure checking in with you. All right, I appreciate you.
Turn to CNN because they have the breaking news where they are still doing these hearings.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this. The Secretary of Defense, he was drunk.
That part. I think so too. That part too. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's my good friends, Crystal Roberts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see. Oh my God, sorry, Crystal, I'm so sorry. Nutty, did you want to say something real quick? You came back, and I know you got knocked off. All right, but it's nice to see you back, Nutty. Did you want to say something real quick, brother, before I get up out of here? All right, going once, going twice. Sold. Nutty is. Oh, are you there, Nutty? Oh, okay, good. What do you got for us, man? We got like a minute or so before I gotta go.
You know what? Listen. I just want to say this. We all need to pray for our leader. We need to pray for Shay? Okay. We need to pray for Donald Trump. And the perfect prayer is Psalms 109, verse 7 through 13. So I know Zeus got to get out of here. So y'all do some homework. Go to Psalms 109, verse 7 through 13 and read.
There's people in the chat saying they just can't bring themselves to doing it. Antifa. All right, so that's Nutty being a little too nutty.
No. And see, this is me being serious because it is those self-proclaimed so-called Christians who will get up here and talk about how awesome Donald Trump is and will not hold him to accountability. So just to get out of here. So Psalms, it says, when he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few. And let another take his office.
Ooh.
Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Yeah, I'm going to let that sink in for 1 second.
Oh.
Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let the strangers be his laborer. But there's a verse.
Where'd you find that? That's not the Jesus. That's not the light that I was thinking that I was going to get out of that. That's actually you just tapped into an emotion of mine, Nutty. Where'd you find that at again? So I can go read it.
It's in the Holy Script, Psalms 109, verses
Okay.
7, and you can just keep reading all the way down. You can even go all the way down to the 20th verse.
Okay.
So let's just read Psalms 109, verses 7.
Well, we
through
can't.
20.
They can't be mad at us reading this because this is right out of their book, right? This is the book they.
I said it's out of the Holy Script. So I am not saying this is not my. These are not my words. These
God's
are
words.
biblical words. So let's
Wild.
pray for Trump. And the prayer that I'm suggesting, the prayer that I'm recommending, is Psalms 109, verses 7 through 20. How about that?
All right.
So
Well,
y'all go read it and then come back to the kingdom tomorrow and rejoice in it.
all right. All right. Well, we gotta always give the Lord a round of applause. And I'm just gonna take Nutty's word on that because you didn't disclose that to me through Signal. You just did it out in the open, and that's kind of that means it's not classified what you just shared. So I appreciate that. All right, ladies.
And
Yeah.
why you still have me here? And 10 seconds.
Yes.
DJ talked about Signal being approved by the CIA. DJ, stop. You too smart for that. And see, DJ, the reason why you're dangerous is because you are smart. We don't give MAGA any sort of I don't even know the word I'm looking for. But MAGA's just not smart.
There you go.
DJ, you're smart, and you know Signal is not approved on the CIA list. You know it's not approved. Just like TikTok ain't bit more approved in anything.
Thank you. And he heard that from one of the Trump people saying that it was an app approved by the Biden administration. That's the lie.
I have one last question for you, Zeus, before I go. So when G was in your live, and he came up early in the conversation you had with him, he said that the Department of Economics. What in the world is the Department of Economics?
I have no clue.
That showed that inflation was at 2% and going down further.
I have no clue where he got that from. It seems to me they got their own set of websites that they use to justify what they believe in. It helps them stay in the cult. And that's just what he was doing. You know how these people work, Nutty. These are some dangerous people. All right, but he's going to lift up his eyes in hell. Yeah.
DJ, stop. You know it's not a standard issue on all CIA computers. Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop.
DJ,
You
we
know
need
it.
you. And I'm going to get on you a little bit more, DJ. I was a little sad to see that you refused to call out Hegseth for putting out that information on Signal. You know better, DJ. You know good and well if you would have been the Secretary of Defense and you were on Signal, you wouldn't have done that, DJ.
When I
come
am
on.
deployed for FEMA, I can't even have TikTok
Thank you.
on my phone.
There you
So,
go.
and I am nowhere near the level of Pete Hegseth. Now, trust me, I think I'm better than him, but his office, I can't even have TikTok on my phone.
There you go.
So why is it that the CIA is going to have Signal on its government issued device? Boy, shut up.
Thank
Boy,
you,
bye.
thank you,
Have
thank
a
you.
great
W
day.
Nutty. And one last time, what was that Bible verse?
Psalms 109 verses 7 through 20.
Thank you. Read
Y'all
it.
gonna be enlightened when you read it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, that's my good friend Nutty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him another round of applause. No lies detected. I got to get up out of here. Seriously. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there you have it. We've had another incredible show where we've gotten the truth out of here, despite the fact that these people on this app, they're still trying to hold Big Zeus back. I had to leave my main account and get on the backup account and dial it back. And now you can understand why we got to do things the way that we do. So I want to give each and every single one of you a huge round of applause. Especially the subscribers, gifters, moderators, and panelists. Happy birthday again, Zena. Because without you, this show wouldn't be as exciting, engaging, entertaining, and educational as it truly, truly is. But then I also got to give one last round of booze and shame. And these booze and shame goes out to all of the Zeus haters out there. And these are not just my haters. These are also your haters, all right? They get on TikTok day in and day out and spread misinformation and disinformation on behalf of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin. Right now, we have measles outbreaks, we have bird flu, we have inflation, we have grocery prices going through the roofs, We have Tesla basically taking money from the Democrats and then turning around and funneling it to the Trump administration. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, corruption at its highest level. What we have is a Secretary of Defense. He should not be called the Secretary of Defense. He should be called the Secretary of No Defense, right? Who clearly has personal issues he should be focusing on, all right? Because every time he gets in front of a camera, you just can't help but ask yourself, how many has he had this time? And these people are hell-bent on destroying this great country of ours. And I'll give you a good example of them. All right, look at this right here, ladies and gentlemen. This guy right here, Snuggles. This is a Zeus hater. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what we got to do? Let's send them straight to hell. I already knew he was going to lie, right? Ladies and gentlemen, take care and stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Hey, let's go, let's go. We made it another. Hey, let's go, Kabira. W Little Hop. Yeah. Thank you all so much, Tiffany, for the people. You're doing an outstanding job. Snuggles, I found somebody that you could use on your show. His name is G. Because you got to go G. I never thought of that. Every time he opens his mouth. W in the chat for Big Zeus. Every time he says something, gee, I never thought of that. I didn't know these people could get on the app and just totally humiliate themselves for Donald Trump. This person right here, I'm going to do a conversation. I'm going to talk about him a little bit. Married to a black woman, voted for Donald Trump, reports to Gavin Newsom, thinks Pete Hegseth is a great hire, hates DI while he's sitting inside of a Mexican restaurant eating a burrito. I mean, talk about a walking, talking contradiction, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make this stuff up. I love you too. You can't make this stuff up, and yet I get in trouble on TikTok, right? Because I get out here and I hold these people's feet to the fire. All right, W in the chat, Uncle Rocker, Snuggles. I didn't even need to bring you up and hear you. I just had to just send you straight to hell. It was called a give and go. W Zeus in the chat, right? It was a give and go. Dolphin. Hey, DJ, I was just thinking. You did a good job, DJ, actually acknowledging the Trump administration failed, but you didn't do a good job acknowledging that Pete Hegseth and all those other people, they need to be fired. All right, so DJ, work on that. All right. I'll give DJ, I'll take what I can get sometimes from these Republicans, right? That was a step. That was a huge step. Want me to lower your taxes? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to some drill, baby drill, and we are out of here. All right, you know what we got to do?
Harris's war on Pennsylvania Energy, because she's going to.
Oh, what is that? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
100%.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I don't want to be that kind of person.
She's against fracking, against all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, about a year and a half ago, when she was getting killed in the polls, she said, "I like fracking very much." Like,
there we
they
go.
always go back to
The drill,
what
baby
they
drill.
want. They always
I didn't
go
mean to
back
show
can't
that
help
photo
it.
up there. I would never do
She's a
anything like that.
radical left Marxist. She can't help it. But we're going to end that, and we will frack,
and drill, baby, drill.
Drilling so deep.
Y'all are hilarious.
These guys, we're going to drill. We're going to take out so much money.
We're going to pay down our debt. Let's go.
We're going to lower. We're going to take out so much money. We're going to pay down our debt.
Let's go.
We're going to lower your tax system. Insane asylums. They go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal Lecter. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to frack.
Hey! Cleopatra, Psycho Queen, was against fracking, against all of a sudden, Let's go, let's go. They killed in the pack. She said, I like fracking very much. Look, they always go back to what they want. They always go back. She can't help it. She's a radical. She can't help it. And we're gonna end that. And we will. And drill, baby, drill. You gotta be able to drill so deep. Let's go. Hey. So much money we're gonna pay down our debt. We're gonna lower your taxes. Let's go, let's go. They go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Drill, baby, drill. We're gonna frack. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter. We're gonna drill. Tiffany, cut it out. Psycho Queen. Here it goes, here it goes. What are we gonna do?
Crazy when I say the late great
Hannibal Lecter.
They say,
why would he mention Hannibal Lecter? What are we gonna do?
we're going to lower your taxes.
That part.
Deep insane asylums.
You know they go crazy when I say
the late great
Hannibal.
Hey!
Let's go. Lower your taxes. Let's go. They go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Let's go. Let's go. In 4 years. Like it's Hannibal Lecter. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time. Hey, we're gonna lower your taxes. Deep insane asylums. You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. How much money you owe on that house? Oh, you owe $2 million on the house. Don't worry, we'll pay off your debt. How much money do you owe on your taxes? Oh, $600,000. Don't worry, we'll lower your taxes. Cause guess what? What we're gonna do is drill, baby, drill, and we're gonna frack like you wouldn't believe. Because guess what? We have so much liquid gold underneath our feet, and all we gotta do is drill, baby, drill. In order to get to it. All right, and so that, ladies and gentlemen, is it. All right, we're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're out of here.
Everybody would be sitting in a room together. The room would have solid lead walls and a lead ceiling and a lead floor. But, you know, life doesn't always let you do that.
I'm out of here. Take care.